না, কাজ নিয়ে চিন্তা রয়েছে। না, আমি একাই খেয়েছি। শুরু হয়নি এখনো।
As soon as the Honorable Governor arrives, will rise at our place, the national anthem will be played, and then when the guests have taken their seats on the dais, the program will begin. Thank you very much. We shall be starting in next 5 minutes. By the way, I am Professor Gopal Arora, Secretary at one of the joint organizers of this program, Antar Parishad. I am teaching in University of Delhi. My subject is taxation and finance. More about that later. Thank you.
একটু বসে যাবেন সামনে দিয়ে, একটু বসে যাবেন।
May I request all to rise for the national anthem?
না বসে
লিখে যাচ্ছি।
By all of us.
विनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंग, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा। जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Honorable Governor of West Bengal,
বসিয়ান
Dr.
Bhusian.
Honorable Vice-Chancellor of University of Calcutta, Professor Datta, President of Sahayog Parishad, Ambassador Bharat, soon will be joined by the Registrar, Professor Devashish. It's a proud privilege for all of us to be here.
अरे मोबाइलটা খুলবেন না? ও দাদা,
For a
মোবাইলটা নামান।
very important international conference on the interdisciplinary aspects of Indian diaspora and the way forward. With the permission of Chair, sir, can we start the proceedings with the Mangalacharya and Walk-Sutra? Please, can I invite team for the Mangalacharya and Walk-Sutra, please?
মাঝখানে লোকটা বুঝতে পারবে না।
श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् सहना भवतु सहनौ
तो नारियल ना हत्या की।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवद्वर्यमा शन्नो इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नश्चार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत् Thank you very much, team. May I now request the dignitaries on the dais to proceed for lighting of the lamp. Lighting of the lamp is a very pious ritual. Tamso ma Jyotirgamaya. We evoke Ishwar with a prayer to dispel our ignorance and enlighten our minds with wisdom. O Lord, lead me from darkness to light.
लाइट दे रहे हाँ लाइट दे दी भाई
In this August house today, we have a very distinguished audience. I acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Mr. Anil Suklal, Professor Anil Suklalji, the High Commissioner of South Africa. His Excellency Sri Dharam Kumar Shiraji, the High Commissioner of Guyana. Dr. Sarita Bodu, an alumna of University of Calcutta. She is from Mauritius and she passed out about 60 years ago. She is a Pravasi Bharatiya Samman awardee and is the author of Deep Divide, a book which is an intangible cultural heritage of a UNESCO project. We have amongst us distinguished members of Diplomatic Corps, a galaxy of faculty members, senior functionaries of ARSP, and young and bright students who have worked day and night to make this program a great success. Starting with the program, sir, we start with the extolment commendation of our esteemed guest. Starting with, I request Honorable Professor Santa Datta to kindly facilitate Honorable Governor, Excellency Dr. C.V. Ananda Bose. And I also take this opportunity to invite Shom Shukla to please describe the felicitation.
Thank you, sir. Now, Devashri and Priyanka will assist our VC madam.
আচ্ছা আমরা কি কাজ করতে আসি মিস্টার ফটোগ্রাফার ফ্রম রাজভবন প্লিজ
With few token of appreciations on behalf of University of Calcutta, Devashri will present a memento. A folder. Priyanka with a watch, an engraved specially made watch. This consists of ancient Indian gods and goddesses' names.
একদম সামনে চলে গেছে
And a program artifact. Will be given to His Excellency, made by our dear master students, Pupai Das. He has made a beautiful portrait of our His Excellency, respected His Excellency, and will be given to him.
Thank you, Shom. I now invite Ambassador Vinod Kumarji, President of Antar Sahayog Parishad, to please present a memento to Honorable Governor Dr. Nanda Ghosh. I invite Dr. Sarita Buduji from Mauritius to present her book, Geet Gawai to Honorable Governor. She has flown in especially for this program when I told her that it is being organized in the University of Calcutta. This is a very special book and I recommend all of you to go through it. It's a book containing the oral history of our culture. May I invite now Professor Devashish Das to please felicitate Ambassador Vinod Kumar. I invite Shri Shyam Paranagi, Secretary General of Antarashtriya Sahayog Parishad, to please come and felicitate Honorable Vice-Chancellor Professor Shanta Datta.
গুটি কন্টিনিউ করছে, তারপরে পা দেবেন না,
কে আমি
আপনাকেই বলছি।
কোনটাই করতে পারি
I invite the Senior Vice President of Antarashtriya Sahayog Parishad, Mr. Sushil Singhal ji, to please felicitate Professor Devashish Das, respected Registrar of the University of Calcutta. With the stool, please.
এনে আই
I request Honorable Vice-Chancellor Professor Shankar Datta to please felicitate Dr. Sarita Gunduji. Dr. Sarita, can you please come? On this side. I invite learned Registrar Professor Devashish Das to please deliver the welcome address.
একটু নামা,
Very good afternoon. Honorable Chancellor, University of Calcutta, and His Excellency Governor of West Bengal, Dr. C.V. Hon'ble, sir. Honorable Vice-Chancellor, University of Calcutta, Professor Shanta Datta Dey, distinguished members and dignitaries from Antarashtriya Sahayog Parishad, my dear colleagues, my dear students, and dignitaries from all over India and abroad. It's really a great moment to all of us, as we have with us our Chancellor Sir and several dignitaries from all over the world in this conference of interdisciplinary perspectives of the Indian diaspora, the way forward, organized by the departments of University of Calcutta, Department of Sanskrit, Department of Anthropology, and Department of Psychology in collaboration with Antarashtriya Sahayog Parishad. And in this occasion, I welcome you all, and first of all, on behalf of the University of Calcutta, I welcome our Chancellor Sir. Thank you, sir, for coming. And now I welcome the dignitaries from Antarashtriya Sahayog Parishad, Mr. Vinod Kumar, Sushil Kumar Singhal ji, Dr. Pramod as the doctor, and Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Republic of Fiji, who will be online, ARSP Professor Viman Parishad, Professor, and others from the different countries like Fiji and Mauritius. I welcome all of you in this occasion, and I am sure that the occasion will be fulfill our dream, that how we can, the University of Calcutta is working for this particular occasion. And finally, I pray to Almighty for the success of this today's conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Dash. I also acknowledge that Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Professor Dr. Biman Prasad, has joined online. Welcome, sir. And now I take this opportunity to invite Professor Shanta Datta for her address, please.
Honorable Governor of West Bengal, Dr. C.V. Ananta Bose, esteemed President Vinod Kumar, Antar Rashtriya Parishad, Registrar of the University of Calcutta, distinguished diplomats, scholars, faculty members, dear guests, and dear students. It is my privilege to stand before you in this historic Senate Hall, a witness of over a century of intellectual revolutions, and extend a heartfelt welcome to this international conference. Let me speak something about this university. The University of Calcutta, founded in 1857, has long been a torchbearer of India's intellectual journey. From the pioneering work of Sir Jagadish Chandra Bose, Meghnad Shah, Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee, Acharya Prafulla Chandra Rai, Surendra Satyendranath Bose, Prashant Chandra Mahalanobis, and others, this institution has nurtured visionaries who reshaped science and society. Today, we carry forward that legacy, blending tradition with innovation as we strive to answer the grand challenges of our time. Our institution, a beacon of knowledge of learning, has a responsibility to make only impart knowledge, but to also foster critical thinking, innovation, and a strong sense of civic responsibility. We must equip our students with the skill and knowledge they need to not only succeed in their careers, but also to contribute meaningful to the betterment of the society. Today, we have gathered to explore a subject, a very critical subject that transcends borders, disciplines, and time itself, the Indian diaspora. Now I am going to discuss in brief about our key vision of Indian diaspora. The 35 million strong Indian diaspora is one of the largest and most diverse global community with roots in various parts of India and presence in the countries worldwide. The diaspora comprises descendants of indentured workers known as grimicious who are transported to colonial colonies in the Caribbean, Mauritius, Fiji, etc. during the 19th centuries, as well as skilled personnel and technocrats who migrated to the Western countries, South Asia, Gulf region after independence. Despite facing immense hardship, the grimicious preserved their cultural values, tradition, and language, passing them to next generation. The Indian diaspora plays a vital role in shaping India globally, the image of India globally. But why is Kolkata important in this aspect? Calcutta port played a pivotal role in the migration of Indian languages and culture through these indentured laborers to Suriname, Trinidad, Mauritius, etc. Kolkata had been one of the most important part of the indentured workers who are transported by their colonial power. We are honored to host this conference in this glorious ancient university. The conference aims to provide a platform for exploring a interdisciplinary perspective on the Indian diaspora. Thanks to all of you, and let us work together to make our university take flight and aspiration. পরিশেষে অল্প একটু কথা আমি বাংলাতে বলবো, কারণ আমি পশ্চিমবঙ্গে প্রতিটি সভায় আমি বাংলাতে কিছুটা হলেও কথা বলি, কারণ বাংলা আমাদের মাতৃভাষা এবং বাংলা একটা ধ্রুপদী বা ক্লাসিক্যাল ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ। আমাদের অনেক বড় বড় কবিরা, পৃথিবীর বরেণ্য কবি রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর, আমাদের দ্বিজেন্দ্রলাল, আমাদের কবি দ্বিজেন্দ্রলাল, তারা সবাই বাংলাতে ভারতবর্ষকে অনেক উপরে তুলে গেছে, আমরা জানি। তার মধ্যেই একটা গান বা কবিতা আমরা সবসময় বলি, ধনধান্য পুষ্পে ভরা আমাদের এই বসুন্ধরা, সবার মাঝে আছে সে দেশ, সকল দেশের সেরা, স্বপ্ন দিয়ে তৈরি সে দেশ, স্মৃতি দিয়ে ঘেরা। বাচ্চারা, স্টুডেন্টসরা, আমাদের ভবিষ্যৎ যারা, তারা এই গানের মর্ম যদি বুঝে থাকো, তাহলে এই অপূর্ব সুন্দর একটা দেশকে ধ্বংসের হাত থেকে বাঁচিয়ে পৃথিবীতে সুন্দরভাবে প্রতিষ্ঠিত করার জন্য এগিয়ে যেও। ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you very much, Professor Datta, and thank you for associating with ARSP to make this conference a reality. Linguistic and regional diversity of the diaspora or of our country is a unifying thread, and you have aptly mentioned that, Madam. May I now invite ARSP President, Ambassador Vinod Kumarji, for his opening remarks.
Namaskar. Honorable Governor of West Bengal and Chancellor of the University of Calcutta, Dr. C.V. Hon'ble, Your Excellency Professor Diman Prasad, Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Professor Datta, Vice-Chancellor of the prestigious University of Calcutta, Honorable Dr. Sarita Bhuti, our distinguished guest from Mauritius, Professor Devasi Das, Registrar of the University, Excellencies, distinguished participants, friends. It is a great honor for the Antar Parishad and the Diaspora Research and Resource Center to collaborate with the University of Calcutta in organizing this international conference on the interdisciplinary perspectives on the Indian diaspora, the way forward. I have immense pleasure in welcoming all the conference delegates and take this opportunity to thank the faculty members, the research scholars and the students in their assistance in organizing this great event. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors were traveling to distant shores, surmounting the challenges of geography. Many of them settled down in new homelands and are today part of the global Indian family. During the 19th and early 20th century, the colonial powers sent laborers from India, as the Honorable Vice-Chancellor mentioned, from India to their other colonies under the misnomer of an agreement. These unfortunate persons had a difficult life, but ensured that their children were educated and their descendants have contributed to the society, economy and polity of their adopted country. We are honored with the presence of all of you and especially thankful to Honorable Governor for sparing some time for this conference from his busy schedule. Professor Parishad, Deputy Prime Minister, will shortly share some of his thoughts with us. The Gilbert diaspora, despite their hardships and oppressions, kept the traditions and memories of their motherland alive. Through connections such as Geet Gawai, on which a book was presented by Dr. Saksapuddu, the Honorable Governor, Ganga Talab, Bhajan Mandali, Nag Temple, and even a Bharat Mata Mandir in Fiji. The Bharat Mata Mandir celebrates its annual day on the Republic Day of India, 26th of January. Honorable Sir, the Antar Sahayog Parishad and the Diaspora Research and Resource Center, since their inception, have been tireless in their efforts to engage with the members of our Indian family living abroad, as well as academic institutions and other institutions who are working with the diaspora. We have received the valuable support of the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian Council for Cultural Relations. It is a great honor to organize this conference in the historical city of Calcutta, as a large number of our Gilbert family members were sent from the Calcutta port. Sir, with your blessings, I am certain this conference will further strengthen the academic discourse on diaspora. Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Madam, with your able guidance, I am sure the discussions that we will have in this conference will bear fruit. Honorable Prime Minister has recently said that we need to pay more attention to our Gilbert family living abroad, and in that context there are proposals for a Gilbert conference as well as to trace the Gilbert routes through which the laborers were sent. I once again take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Vice-Chancellor for giving the support to us in organizing the conference, and seek the blessings of Honorable Governor for this conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. We have been joined online by the Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Professor Parishad ji. He also has been a student here in India, has been a faculty also. Sir, can you hear us? We invite you.
Very well, Ji.
Ji, dhanyavad. So we invite you, sir, for your keynote address.
Thank you, Sir Ji, Your Excellency Dr. C.V. Ananda Bose, Governor of West Bengal and Honorary Chancellor, Professor Datta, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Gula Vinaka and Namaste from Fiji. Thank you very much for this honor and respect you have accorded me. First, allow me to congratulate Ambassador Vinod Kumar, India's former High Commissioner to Fiji, on his appointment as the President of Rashtriya Sahayog Parishad. I also offer my special regards to Shri Kamal Mishra ji, the head of the Department of Sanskrit, for his commitment and passion in helping organize this event, and to all others who have helped pull this fantastic event together. Please allow me to congratulate the Antarashtriya Sahayog Parishad for its persistent leadership and commitment to the Indian diaspora. From the relentless engagement of its former Secretary General, the late Shri Baleshwar Agrawal ji, to his Secretary General at present, Shri Shyam Parande ji, Shri Arora ji, and many others, we are deeply appreciative. To the University of Calcutta, this meeting could not be held at a more appropriate venue. Only some miles down the road is the great Kolkata port, the Shyama Prasad Mukherjee port. This was the transit point for hundreds of thousands of Indian indentured laborers who were shipped against their will to Guyana, Mauritius, South Africa, other countries, and over 60,000 to Fiji. Its symbolism is not lost on me. I am the third generation descendant of one of them to have departed from this port. Your Excellency Governor Bosji, President Ambassador Vinod Kumarji, and distinguished delegates, I will confine my remarks to that part of the Indian diaspora referred to as Girmitias, and to the descendants this afternoon or this morning there. I can speak with them with more comfort than for the whole of the Indian diaspora. Between early 1800s to 1916, well over 1 million Indians were shipped out from these and other ports of colonial India to other British colonies. For many years, we ourselves did not understand fully our own histories. We learned from our grandparents about the brutal and horrific circumstances under which our ancestors were uprooted from the villages across India. We learned from our ancestors very different from the way these histories were told of in official records or taught in our schools. There was a deliberate effort for the good part of the century to deny us our own history. All our families hold stories of our grandparents being kidnapped from their villages and families across India being handcuffed, often drugged on their journeys to the then Madras, Calcutta, and other Indian ports. They have told us stories of our grandmothers being ripped from their families, subject to inhuman sexual violence, often in chains when bundled into the slave ships, in full view of authorities and officials. I have not heard one account of our ancestors going to British colonial officers in Lucknow or elsewhere voluntarily to sign up for the indentured worker scheme. Not one. Yet this is the story that was told to us. I have taken some time to present a flavor of our Jahaji stories before the start of the dreadful indenture journey. The pain and brutality of these stories are the memories of our families. They are at least of mine. In my case, these are recollections from my Acha, Aji, the late Suraj Bali and Bachni, and my Nana and Nani, the late Ram Samuji and Punya. All Girmitias of their parents, Girmitias. Not one of our great-grandparents made it back to India. They just could not. Theirs and the stories of all Girmitias need to be remembered. Preserved in our folklore, in our bhajans, in our music, in our arts, in our films, and of course in our museums. But that is insufficient. I have not shared my family history often, but I did so today. 1 million plus Indians were possibly removed from their homes and villages for nearly a better part of the century. I had often thought as a younger scholar many years back on how was this level of evil allowed to happen and be sustained for such a long period of time. Why did no one speak for them early in the life of the indenture system so that it could have been stopped earlier? It is in later years that I came to understand the full depths and scale of the inhumanity and pure evil that the indenture was. This evil was hidden. It was buried in broad daylight from Indians themselves. It was not until the great Bapuji's journey to South Africa that India began to learn about the scale and depth of the inhumanity of the indenture system. It was the brutality of the indenture and the Mahatma's early recognition that the indenture system was a foundation on which British colonialism stood and prospered, and that his Satyagraha was perfected. In time, the Satyagraha would become a weapon that would help to free India. In that limited way, the story of our Girmit ancestors is the story of ultimately a free India. Put another way, had it not been for the indenture system, India may not have had its Mahatma. There was a network of beneficiaries who conspired to hide indenture from India itself. for the good part of the century. They included colonial officials who signed indenture agreements, British companies who hired the Katis, effectively the headhunters, to capture Indian men and women and deliver them to the ports in return for a bounty. The owners of ships that transported these slaves, the settler companies on whose farms, factories and enterprises these bonded laborers worked. The economics of indenture needs to be much better understood. When we unlock the economies or the economics, we will understand Gilmit in its fullness. That has to be an important part of the reflections at this conference. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, I have taken time to reflect on this to try to understand the meaning of Gilmit in the context of modern India and its diaspora. I have followed with immense pride the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's recent visit to Mauritius. This was inspirational. He presented an excellently articulated response by the Government of India. The Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has reflected on the need to record Gilmit histories, to create platforms for sustained research, for supporting films and supporting writers, and a lot more. I welcome wholeheartedly all the elements of the proposal advanced by the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji in Mauritius last week. I think this opportunity to call on Indian film industry to work with Fijian writers and other excellent creative talent to develop both commercial and documentary cinema on Fiji's indenture. And I assure you the full support of the government of Fiji for all such efforts. Distinguished participants, friends, ladies and gentlemen, through you, I will respectfully urge an expansion of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji's great initiative to give recognition to Gilmit. As with slavery, the time for International Day on Gilmit has arrived. I encourage countries with large diaspora represented here to collectively work on this proposal within the United Nations framework. It is not in us to seek settlement of historical debts. We just not program that way. There are cruise liners operating today whose initial wealth was derived from the indenture trade. There are large multinational companies in the UK and in Australia operating successfully today, whose genesis is in the indenture system. To all those who benefited from this dark chapter of history, my message is simple. Know your own history. Our history is equally our own history. We will be both better as a result, better human beings, more responsible business and better nation states. To the government that incubated, expanded and sustained this humanity for well over a century, Gilmit is your own history. One of the most difficult words in the English language dictionary is sorry. A heartfelt sorry is reparation enough for me. Healing and reconciliation will be infinitely more complex. We need to make a start somewhere. Let me, friends, ladies and gentlemen, talk about the place of Ramayana. I cannot convey to all of you how much Ramayana meant to our ancestors in the coolie lands, on the plantation and across the farms of colonial Fiji. When the reality of slavery sank in, most of our families had not much else but the scriptures to fall back onto. Hindu Gilmitians looked to the Ramayana. In Lord Ram's story, they interpreted their own exile to Fiji. The Kalapani that they were forced to cross to reach Fiji became their own Ram Setu, a bridge that in time they would cross back, although in a very long time. In my family's case, this would occur 3 generations later. I became the first in my family to make the return trip to India, a journey that was denied to all my ancestors. To both our Gilmitian parents, grandparents and their children, the most precious asset that they possessed was this holiest of the scriptures, the Ramayana. For a very long time, colonial authorities made it next to impossible to bring Ramayana into the colony. We've all heard stories of Ramayana being seized, destroyed during the Antar period. This too is part of our history. Our communities across the whole village would have collective stewardship of the Ramayana. The Ramayana Mandirs, which is a unique feature in Fiji, were held at different homes every week, is still being done there today. Our grandparents reflected on the experience of exile. Older Grimitias provided comfort to the more recently arrived Grimitias using lessons from the Ramayana about endurance and about the eventual victory of righteousness. When no one seemed to stand with Grimitias, they had the road Ram in their lives. Our grandparents reflected on the lessons derived from Lord Ram's struggle every week. They drew both comfort and strength. Every Anna saint was used to build patshalas, schools for the children. Every brutality that they suffered in their lives, they knew Lord Ram and Sita Mata had suffered far worse. Eventually, 100 years later, their descendants became full citizens of an independent Fiji. Today they play a role in its development, in its governance, in its shared prosperity. We have a great relationship with India. Our government, since assuming power in December 2022, we have taken our relationship to the next level. In the last 2 years, we've had extensive ministerial engagements and visits. 16 ministers alone from Fiji have visited India in the last 2 years. The Honourable Minister for External Affairs, Dr. Shankar, also visited Fiji in 2023. Our Prime Minister, Honourable Sithivedhi Rabuka, met the Indian Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, in Papua New Guinea, and bestowed Fiji's highest honour to him. Her Excellency, the President of India, also made a historic visit to Fiji in 2024. A number of projects in health, education and other sectors are underway. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, I often think about my grandparents. In the last days, they would have looked beyond the shores of Braketi, my district here in Fiji, thinking about their brothers and sisters in Gonda district in Uttar Pradesh, with whom they were denied contact. They went into their afterlife not knowing how the immediate family had fared. Their sadness lives inside each of us to this day. We live with that as we must. This is our duty. And as one of Fiji's leaders, I have been given this greatest of honor to provide opening remarks to this very important conference there in Calcutta today. I have provided these remarks on behalf of my grandparents and on behalf of 1 million plus Grimitias, on behalf of all of who were denied the journey back home in their lifetimes. With much respect, in eternal gratitude, I want to say, Bahut Dhanyawad, Vinaka, and God bless all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Biman Prasad-ji, Honorable Deputy PM Sir. We are overwhelmed by your address and your commitment to the diaspora cause and and support to.
If you can unmute.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And may I
I
also.
can't hear you.
Can we?
Ganpati, unmute.
And may I also add that you are so committed and looking forward to join this inaugural session. And he called me in the morning and he said, suppose the technology fails, then how will I join? So he sent me a recorded message also. The Honorable Deputy PM actually sent us a recorded message also, that if technology fails, that at least, his emotions can be expressed. Sir, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate. And now is the occasion, sir, to hear from the Honorable Governor, His Excellency Dr. C.V. Anthropology, for his words of wisdom, for his blessings. We invite you, sir, to deliver your inaugural address.
Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji, Professor Nevin Prasad ji, our guest of honor, Dr. Sarita, Vice-Chancellor of the first university here, Professor Shanta Datta ji, His Excellency Ambassador Vinod Kumar, Professor Devashish Das, Registrar, University of Calcutta, my very dear friends and delegates from all over the world. It gives me immense pleasure to be here, to be a part of this international conclave, which I am sure has brought us together. Coming together is beginning. Keeping together is progress, working together is success. We have come together, we will keep together, we will certainly work together. I am particularly thankful for the insightful and inspiring words of the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Fiji. Great sense of nostalgia was pervading throughout when we are listening to his inspiring address. You know, the Indian diaspora is a brand by itself. Wherever we go, the Indian diaspora is there to encourage us, to inspire us. You know, it is said that Arnold Toynbee once said, and Mark Twain repeated, Arnold Toynbee said, it is already becoming clear that a chapter which had a Western beginning will have to have an Indian ending, if it is not to end in self-destruction of the human race. At this supremely dangerous moment in history, the only way for salvation for mankind is the Indian way. This is Arnold Toynbee. Mark Twain is on record. India is a cradle of human race, the birthplace of human speech, the mother of history, the grandmother of legend, and the great-grandmother of tradition. And this is all supported by Rama Rana. If there is one place on the face of the earth where all the dreams of living men have found a home from the very early days when man began the dream of existence, it is India. That is India that is before you. India is ready. India is ready to reboot and rejig itself. You know, India is strong. We should assert India is strong. India is great. We should assert India is great. There is no reason for India to feel second to anyone in the world. That is a transformation that has taken place in India, thanks to the support of the Indian diaspora. What is the Indian diaspora? What are they doing for the nation? I would say the Indian diaspora is the unseen breeze which moves the sail that propels the ship of India. The unseen breeze which moves the sail that propels the ship of India. That is a transformational role which Indian diaspora is doing. What is the type of transformation? You know the Nobel laureate, W.B.H., in his famous poem, it's 1916, he says, all change utterly. All change utterly. A terrible beauty is born. A terrible beauty is born. That is what is happening through the Indian diaspora for India too. All over the world. All over the world. You know, in the class of civilization, yes, it is reported that there will be a class of civilizations in the world, but one unit which can be the mediator is India. More than 105 crores, which has spread across the whole world. You know, the socio-political and cultural influence of the Indian diaspora far exceeds its population in each country. The collective strength, and what do we need? India is there to protect you. Indian tradition is there to protect you. Indian culture, Indian heritage, that is what is acting as a shield for Indians anywhere. You know, in one of the African countries, among the Yorubas, when a young man, he becomes maturity, there is a test for him. Some kind of a test will be there to see how valorous he is, whether he is fit to be a youth. One youngster was tied to a tree in the middle of the forest. The forest is infested by wild animals. Lions are there, crocodiles are there. You know, all kinds of wild animals are roaring at night. This boy is tied to a tree, he can't move. At night he hears all the weird sounds made by the wild animals around him. And he becomes frustrated. Do the village chiefs, do the tribal chiefs, how dare they could do this? How careless are they that they are tying me to a tree among these wild animals? Then his heart broke when he thought, my dad, who could allow this? Early morning, he was untied from the tree. What he sees is just near him, with a drawn sword, was standing his father all night to guard him. And behind the father were the tribal chiefs with the raised axes to guard him. That is India. India's tradition, India's culture, it is there to guard you. In whichever corner of the world you are, Indian diaspora is Indian. The India first and India next. You have come here. The Honorable Deputy Prime Minister also echoed the same sentiment. You have come here thinking, I belong not to the east or the west or the north or the south. I belong to the whole of India, and the whole of India belongs to me. Isn't it? That is it. That is it. The Indian diaspora has brought laurels to themselves and glory to the nation because of this feeling of oneness. Janda unja rahe hamara. Chanda unja rahe hamara. Yes, that is it. You know, I remember just anything anywhere which happens has international ramifications. When Vajpayee ji was a Prime Minister of India, there was a reception given to the Prime Minister of Fiji. The reception started, all various countries were represented at the level of heads of states or heads of government. A very gala function in which VVIPs were there. And of course ambassadors, smart ambassadors of India to look after them. You know, it so happened that an Indian waiter in his international dinner dropped a plate of meat which had international ramifications. And everybody was embarrassed. Vajpayee ji, not to be embarrassed, he rose to the occasion and said, this incident was factored into this. Convey a message. What is the message? An Indian waiter dropping a plate of meat in an international dinner. What are his international ramifications? Fall of China. The plate was made of China glaze. Fall of China. Spread of Greece, right? Dismemberment of Turkey. It was a plate of Turkey. Dismemberment of Turkey. Disappointment of Hungary. Shame for India. Anything and everything has international ramifications. You know, what happens anywhere has ramifications elsewhere. You know, from dependence to independence, we have come to a stage of interdependence. Nothing happens in the global world. Anything which happens in Korea has its ramifications in Kerala, isn't it? When I speak about Kerala, I belong to Kerala. In Kerala, the main complaint is that a lot of Pravasis come there in search of work. I told him no. If a lot of Pravasis from Bengal comes to Kerala in search of work, I am a Pravasi from Kerala who went to Bengal for work and I got it here. So everything is interconnected, interrelated. You know, and the type of knowledge which we gain, informal knowledge which we gain by interacting with people from different walks of life from various countries is something which has no parallel. Which has no parallel. I remember something which happened in one of the Indian states. In one of the Indian states, there is a rift between the chief minister and the governor, not in Bengal, some other state. You know, one day, there was flash floods in the state. The chief minister thought, I'll go for an aerial survey, so that I can see so many places where flooded affected areas in no time. Then the governor said, I'll also go for the aerial survey. Then the DGP came, the chief secretary came. They go to the helipad. They see the helicopter is there, but the pilot is not there. So they search for the pilot. The pilot, poor man, he had gone to fetch his son, who is in the 3rd standard in the school. When he came back with the son, he sees that chief minister is there, governor is there, DGP is there, chief secretary is there. The CM asked him, shall we go for an aerial survey, please? You please start the helicopter. Yes, helicopter, sir. But then pilot said, sir, can I have 5 minutes in between? Why? I want to send my child to home, then I will come back. Magnanimously, the CM said, let the child also come. Let him also learn the things in the early age. Very magnanimous, so they go to the helicopter. Mid-air, there is some problem, some confusion. So the chief minister, being a politician, knew some trouble is going in because the chief minister is heading a coalition government, so troubles they know very well. Chief minister took a parachute and jumped down. The governor also jumped down. Chief secretary jumped down. Then the DGP jumped down. Then the exasperated father, the pilot told the son, my dear son, now there is only one parachute left. You please use the parachute and save yourself. Don't worry about dad. But the boy said, no, dad, there are 2 parachutes left. He said, how can it be? There are only 5 parachutes and 4 have come down. How there can only be 1 more parachute left? No, daddy, that governor uncle jumped with my school bag on his back. So I think I have come here to learn from you what's the difference between parachute and a school bag. Now, everything is interconnected, everything is intertwined. Yes, everything is intertwined. You know, you are all people from India with Indian origin, settled in various other countries, imbibing those cultures. But you know, we have something basic in our mind, which can never be altered. Which can, you know, as Shakespeare said, you know, never fixed mark, which does not alter when it alterates and finds. That is India. The Indianism in you. What WBA is called thisness in you. Every Indian has got a thisness. That is his Indianism. That can never be changed because we are all led by certain principles, certain values, which we imbibe from our mothers and grandmothers. That can never be altered. Wherever you are, you will show yourself as an Indian. You know, we have a way of looking at everything from a spiritual point of view. I am a student of, and I belong to the Indian Administrative Service, as the ambassador knows. We have our training in the Missouri Academy. There, it is the Himalayas, you know. I have seen Missouri as a part of Himalaya, a geographical phenomenon. But you know what Kalidasa says? For Kalidasa, it's not a geographical phenomenon. He says, Astuttarasyam disi. Astuttarasyam disi devadatma. Astuttarasyam disi devadatma. Himalayo nama nagathiraja. Purvavaram Tvayadhivagahya. Siddhaprativya Manadanta. See, that is Kalidasa. That is in India. Yes. And, you know, Agamemnon. Anybody from Greece? Anybody? Say any Indian from Greece here? See, Agamemnon, when he was leading the Greek army, Greek navy, for the great fight against Troy, he had a problem which is much bigger than that of Arjuna. Arjuna's problem was Why should I slay? Why should I kill my kith and kin? But Agamemnon, the problem was, he was asked to sacrifice his daughter, Iphigenia. Ships, 1,000 ships. What is in Marlowe's Faustus? Was this the base that launched 1,000 ships and burned the topless towers of Ilium? Sweet Helen, make me immortal with a kiss. That 1,000 ships were launched from there. The ships are not moving. Wind is not coming. Then the priest tell him, Agamemnon, you are the supremo, you are the commander-in-chief, you are the generalissimo. You have to sacrifice your daughter for the sake of your land. Look at the trouble which Agamemnon would have had in his mind. Arjuna had the clever Krishna to advise him, the Bhagavad Gita. Agamemnon had nobody. But Agamemnon had to teach himself the lessons of Bhagavad Gita. You know, what does the Bhagavad Gita tell us? I don't want to tell you all about with scholars in front of me. I don't want to take your time on this. Like Sarada is there. You know, it's simple as this. Jadasya dhruvar mrutyam dhruvam janma mృతస్య cha. Jadasya dhruvar mrutyam dhruvam janma mృతస్య cha. Tasmad apariharyarthe natvam sojasamartas. Right? Haven't you heard it somewhere else? See, Bhagavad Gita is a great spiritual text. But the one text which is based on materialism also says the same thing. Umarkayam Survaya, unborn tomorrows, dead yesterday. Why fret about the week today be the sweet? See, two different paths, one spirituality, one materialism. They come to the same conclusion, isn't it? Unknown tomorrows, dead yesterdays. Why fret about the week today be the sweet? Then, one problem for an ordinary man like me. Yes, your body is transient. Your soul is everything, I understand. But I can touch my body. I can smell my body. I can feel my body. But I cannot feel my soul. See, look at the simple answer for this. Nainam chindanti shastrani. Nainam chindanti shastrani. Nainam dagati pavakaha. Najainam gadayanti apo. Nasoshayati vairada. Indestructibility of the soul. Now tell me, are you not proud of India? See, we have a great tradition. We have a great culture, which, like the father with the drawn sword and raised the axes, guarded the child in the Yoruba tribe. We have our history to guide us, our culture to guide us, our heritage to guide us. I don't want to take more of your time. In the Mahabharata, as you know, there is a scene. Every day, after the battle, Arjuna will come to his tent or pudi, whatever it is. First, Arjuna will get down, then he will wait to receive Krishna. Now, what's much like that? VVIP comes at the end. That day, Arjuna thought, I am the one who won the battle. I am the one who won the battle. I am the one who won his enemies. Who is Krishna? He is my driver. He is my shopper, isn't it? Let him get down first. Krishna knew what is going on in Arjuna's fickle mind. But, mischievous Krishna was looked at as he is looking at the birds above. Ornithology. Then, somehow, but reluctantly, Arjuna steps out of the chariot. With a quizzical smile, Krishna also steps out of the chariot. The moment Krishna's feet touches the ground, the chariot bursts into flames. Arjuna doesn't know what is happening. Krishna says with a smile, don't worry Arjuna, don't worry Arjuna. This is a chariot on which many divine weapons dwell in the battlefield. If you did not explode there, it is because one small reason is there. I was inside that. Now, the death called Bharat does not burst into flame. Instead of Nirvendra, there is a Narendra there. There is a Narendra leading the Indian chariot. That is what we should understand. We have our history, we have our tradition. We have our culture to guard us, protect us. In turn, it is for us to see that we believe that we are Indians. All Indians are my brothers and sisters. I owe it to Shanta. I will once again repeat it, I take a lot of interest in education. She's also one who takes every bold decisions in the university. So here, for some reason or the other, many universities, they could not hold their convocations for years together. So I started clearing the certificates for the students, One day, I was giving the convocation address. Everybody appreciated my address, so I was very delighted. 1 hour, 1.5 hours I spoke. At the end of my speech, I said, we need educational reform, we need industrial reform, we need agricultural reform, we need social reform. One student from the audience told me, but you need some chloroform. Before we say that, thank you very much. Wish you all the very best. Let's meet together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Another round of applause to Mr. Wonderful. We appreciate that. Described and cannot thank you enough, sir. And now I realize that the Department of Sanskrit was actually involved in this international conference also. And may I now invite Dr. Kamal Mishra, from head of the Department of Sanskrit, to present a formal vote of thanks. And from my side, I can say that for the last 10 days, he has been working right from dawn to late night in making this international conference. Come, Dr. Mishra, for presenting a formal vote.
With the blessings of Honorable Chancellor Sir, His Excellency, Honorable Vice-Chancellor Madam, Excellency Vinod Kumar Sir, and Honorable Registrar Sir. From bottom of my heart, and on behalf of the department, on behalf of the all faculties, on behalf of all our students who are working day and night, continuously make this happen in a different way. And I am so happy because Professor Viman Parishad, we have a very close association. And sir, Calcutta was, I personally feel that Calcutta was the epicenter of Indian diaspora. And we should do something. And this was in my heart, and fortunately, by the grace of Almighty, by your blessing, our Vice-Chancellor is the Madam, and President is Vinod Kumar Sir, suddenly all things happened. I can say it's a cosmic honor. That's why this happened. And I'm so happy. My gratitude, sir, you have visited Sanskrit department, and Sanskrit and culture. Sanskrit as a language, Sanskrit is a language of God in the land of a human being. It's a totally, nobody can speak about this Sanskrit. Because Sanskrit paragya, Sanskrit sakla kala, Sanskrit saklam jnanam, Sanskrit kim na vidyate. कहाँ नहीं है संस्कृत? संस्कृत दिल में है, संस्कृत हमारे ब्लड में है, संस्कृत हमारे कल्चर में है, हमारे इथिक्स में है, हमारी मोरालिटी में है, हमारे कैरियर में है, हमारा स्टूडेंट्स, हमारे लोग, हमारी चीजें, हमारी पूरी जीवन पद्धति, हमारा विचार, सब कुछ संस्कृत में है। और जब मैं फीजी में था एज ए कल्चरल डिप्लोमेट अंडर द सुपरविजन ऑफ ऑनरेबल एक्सीलेंसी विनोद कुमार सर, हम लोग वहाँ गए थे और वहाँ मैंने पहली बार देखा भारत माता के नाम से मंदिर, एंड दैट वाज अ ग्रेट थिंग। हमने हिंदुस्तान में नहीं देखा भारत माता का मंदिर, लेकिन हमने फीजी में देखा भारत माता का मंदिर। और प्रोफेसर विमान प्रसाद बहुत काइंडली उन्होंने एग्री किया, बहुत प्यार से बोले। दिल पूरा स्ट्रगल है इंडियन डायस्पोरा की जर्नी, और ये स्टार्ट होता है कलकत्ता से, कलकत्ता कोर्ट से, कलकत्ता यूनिवर्सिटी से somehow directly or indirectly. This moment is very auspicious. I have no word. मेरा gratitude, sir. I can't say in words. My heart is full. Words are totally few. मैं सभी के लिए, आप लोगों के लिए, पूरे different excellency ambassadors के लिए, from bottom of my heart, मैं gratitude express कर रहा हूँ, extend कर रहा हूँ। आप kindly accept कीजिए हमारी
ग्रेटिट्यूड को ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट, ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटी मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगेगा। और सबसे बड़ी बात, अभी आपने देखा होगा विमान प्रसाद जी ने रामायण की बात की। एक्सीलेंसी सर, हम लोगों ने कोशिश किया है इंडियन संस्कृत डिपार्टमेंट में इंडियन डायस्पोरा और रामायण को लेकर कोर्स स्टार्ट किया जाए, उसको मेन थीम में लाया जाए और उसे इंडियन डिप्लोमेसी में एक हम स्पेशल पार्ट बना के संस्कृत डिपार्टमेंट को ग्लोबली एक नई सीमा पर दें, ताकि हमारे यंग स्टूडेंट्स को मैक्सिमम अवेयर हो, मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट मिले और लगे कि हमने कुछ अच्छा काम किया। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ आपका विशेष तौर पर धन्यवाद। मैडम, वाइस चांसलर, आप नहीं होते तो हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते थे। रजिस्ट्रार सर, एक्सीलेंसी, ARSP, एक व्यक्ति को जिनका मैं नाम नहीं ले सकता हूँ, फिजी के लोग वहाँ नमस्कार की जगह पर बुला बिनाका कहते हैं, उन सबों को, पूरे देश के लोग, मॉरिशस, गंगा तालाब, सभी को मेरा बारंबार प्रणाम है, नमन है, अभिवादन है, अभिनंदन है। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ चाय पर आमंत्रित करते हैं।
इतने सुंदर और विशिष्ट धन्यवाद प्रस्ताव के लिए डॉक्टर कमल मिश्रा का भी विशेष धन्यवाद। और ऑनरेबल गवर्नर सर जो है डॉक्टर कमल मिश्रा को सम्मानित करेंगे उनके इस विशेष प्रयासों के लिए। आइए। कार्यक्रम ऑनरेबल गवर्नर सर, हमारे ऑनरेबल वाइस चांसलर मैडम को सम्मानित करते हैं। May I now request, as the program is concluding, may I request all to rise for the national anthem to be recited by our leaders. Starting with some brainstorming. As has been explained to you in the theme of the conference, it is on the interdisciplinary aspects. The structure of the conference is that first in the technical session, one will discuss the historical perspectives and the issues pertaining to that. Then in the second technical session, which will be held tomorrow, we will be discussing about the linguistic, regional and cultural aspects of the Diaspora Connect. And then the third will be the economic perspective, like what is the economic value in engagement with the diaspora, what diaspora expects from us, and how we can create a mutually beneficial relationship. So starting with the first session, we have very distinguished speakers. To start with the chair, we have Ambassador Vinod Kumar, President of ARSP, IFS officer, diplomat of the highest order. He retired after completing one of the tenure in as High Commissioner of PG, so have a good experience of diaspora issues. As a keynote address, we have Professor Chandrasekhar Bhatt. Dr. Bhatt is well known across the globe for his expertise in the diaspora field. He was the first one actually to found a diaspora center in Hyderabad. He was the first one with an institutional arrangement for diaspora studies. And we have great honor to have with us His Excellency Professor Anil Shuklaji, the High Commissioner of South Africa, himself very distinguished scholar. And Dr. Sarita Buduji, please come and take your seat. As I told you, she is an alumna of University of Calcutta, passed almost 60 years ago, and has written, she's a journalist, writes books, and Geet Gawai is one of the path-breaking books. Then we have Professor Naresh Kumarji, Chairperson and Professor at the Center for Diaspora Studies in Central University of Gujarat. And we have Dr. Monalal Guptaji, Professor at Department of Migration and Diaspora Studies, Mahatma Gandhi Antar Hindi Vishwavidyalaya, Varta. So we have a very distinguished panel. Online, we have been joined because this is there's a time difference. So we have with us Dr. Vishnu Bisram, a journalist and political activist from Guyana. Dr. Ashutosh Kumar, a visiting professor in Harvard University. He'll be joining online. Presently, he is in New York. And then we have Professor Maurice S. Hassan Khan, he's a very senior lecturer, faculty member. Formerly, he was the Home Minister in Suriname. And we have Dr. Rocher Gopal, the former High Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago in India. And before we start with the proceedings, Dr. Kamal, would you like to do some extolment? Yeah, kindly do that as early as possible because people have joined. So, and then after that, over to you, sir, to conduct this session. And the challenge is to do it in that much time that you have.
Everybody's life is in the camera. It's a mobile.
Psychology head.
Thank you. Head of the Department of Psychology will felicitate His Excellency Professor Anil Suklal, High Commissioner of Republic of South Africa. Madam, thank you.
Yeah. Now we can 5 minutes. Yeah, I have participate.
Now, Senior Professor of Sanskrit Department. Awesome. नाम बता रहे हैं दीपांकर मुखोपाध्याय, प्रोफेसर दीपांकर मुखोपाध्याय will felicitate Professor Naresh Kumar, Chairperson, Professor Center for Diaspora Studies, Central University of Gujarat. डॉक्टर सरिता बुद्धू जी को फेलिसिटेट करने के लिए हम किसी स्टूडेंट्स को बुलाते हैं, कोई टीम लीडर और वॉलंटियर्स, स्टूडेंट्स विल फेलिसिटेट आवर मैडम डॉक्टर सरिता बुद्धू जी को, क्योंकि ये कविता ड्यूटी का अलुमनाई नहीं, लेडीज रिबन कॉलेज। मैं चाहता हूँ कि स्टूडेंट्स का पार्टिसिपेशन फेलिसिटेट। One by one. Thank you. Good. Another student. Another one. Yeah. Another one. Another one. कविता है इसमें। Another one. मुन्ना जी को फैसिलिटेट करेंगे हमारे स्टूडेंट बक्सी बाबू प्लीज ज्वाइन फैसिलिटेट मुन्ना
থেমে আছো
Namaskar. I welcome you all to the first technical session of the conference Interdisciplinary Perspectives on the Way Forward. I think apart from talking about the history, we have deliberately added the way forward in the theme. The way forward in the theme. So we have a panel of very distinguished speakers with us today. The keynote speaker, Professor Chandrasekhar Bharat from the University of Hyderabad. We have His Excellency Professor Ali Bukla, High Commissioner of the Republic of South Africa. Dr. Sarita Bhutu, former chairperson of History Teaching Union Council, who has especially travelled for this conference. Professor Naresh Kumar, Chairperson Center for Diaspora Studies in the Central University of Gujarat. Dr. Munna Gupta, Professor Department of Migration and Diaspora Studies from Mahatma Gandhi and the Rashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalaya. Dr. Vishnu Bisram from Guyana, a journalist and political activist who joined online. And so will Dr. Ashutosh Kumar, visiting professor at Harvard University, and Professor Maurice S. Hassan Khan from Suriname. Dr. Roger Gopal, former High Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago, and also the founder. We are behind time, so I have roughly 1 hour in my hands. And if we divide it, actually what we would say is that we will give about 10 minutes for the keynote speech, and it is my earnest request if other speakers can limit to 5 to 7 minutes, then we should be in time. And of course we are open to receiving your detailed presentations on the theme of your presentation today, which we will be very happy to include in our journal that we publish. And today, I think it is more of a thought-provoking discussion that we are going to have. Now, before I hand over to Professor Bharat, I think two things. One, our Prime Minister, he gave an address at the Pravasi Bharati Divas, and then the address he gave in Mauritius. I think these are something that should be a kind of a guiding light for us. The importance that is now being attached to our diaspora, especially the Gurmukh diaspora, and focusing not only the journey of the diaspora over a few generations and the contributions they have made to their homelands, but also how we can better build our connections with them, how we can utilize the situation that the descendants of the persons who were sent from here by the colonial past, how these can be used. Some universities have already set up centers for diaspora studies, and we can perhaps consider whether there is possibility of having more such centers, and how we can further strengthen our continued connections with the land of their ancestors in terms of language, culture, traditions, and the role that the polity and the media can play in this regard. So I would first of all hand over to Professor Chandrasekhar Bharat. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I just maybe I'll go to the slide. It's okay. It's okay. This is much more convenient. Chairperson, very distinguished ambassador, who has a long history of serving number of diaspora countries around, and the last one he has been in Fiji, as I just told now. And they said he is retired, but I don't consider him as retired. And I think it's very vital. I'm very happy. He's heading down the Interdisciplinary Parishad. My distinguished panel here, I will not mention the names because by then 10 minutes will be over. So I shall resist mentioning, except that I have a very highly expert panel who have a personal experience as well as experience in terms of studying and so on, and diaspora information more than past. And very distinguished gathering here. And I also recognize several ambassadors here serving, and those who have served past, and distinguished colleagues from the universities, and we have been working on diaspora for several decades. I shall try to limit as much as possible. You're welcome to that at any point in time, and it's 10 minutes. I think my journey into my academic life is also a journey into diaspora transformation, coming from the early phases to the contemporary level. What I try to limit myself is to see how diaspora became diaspora, which was not diaspora earlier, to 2000. 2000 is a year to mark it. I think many of you might know, and those of the students and some of the learned members here may not have the knowledge. I shall come to that point. And I began my journey with diaspora from London School of African Studies in London University, where my mentor there asked me, I was planning to study migration practice, international migration. Obviously, people from different countries go to London, and they have been the core of colonial empire. So, but then they said, why don't you study your own people, Indians here? So my journey with the Indian diaspora began with the study of Indians in London. And it was a time when there was a very, very dynamic situation happening in India. And I heard BBC News, the holiest of the holy places in India is army was sent to holiest of the holy places in India. The temple in Amritsar, Golden Temple. And that was the time when I happened to be London, and there was a lot of dynamism among the Indians, the Hindus, the Sikhs, and all that. And that was the time when I started my studies on the Indian diaspora. And then, coming back to India, I had the great opportunity of seeing till 2000. I tried to divide it up to 2000 because there's a very important mark in 2000. There were people coming from diaspora to India. There were two streams of diaspora people. There were people of Indian origin. I must use the word people of Indian origin coming to India till then. One was those who had migrated post India's independence, and the other was those who had migrated particularly during the colonial times. And these are two different clusters. And I had the privilege of interacting with both clusters, thanks to Parishad who allowed me, invited me for all the programs that he conducted. And he was holding annual conferences with the diaspora, wherein I met top of the diaspora, particularly the people of Indian origin diaspora from different parts of the world. And on the other side, there was another which was held by the New York people of Indian origin. They started a GOPIO, Global Organization of People of Indian Origin in New York, and they continued, and it has been going on till 2000. And both the groups tried to impress upon government of India that government of India has been silent, they have no recognition of Indians outside India, so therefore something needs to be done. And in 2000 comes Vajpayee's government with the appointment of a high-level committee. And with that, I also got closely associated with the committee, with the people who have been working on that, and I hosted a conference in Hyderabad, the Center for Diaspora Studies in 2002, when the committee visited a number of places and came back to India to think of the report and finalize the report. And the theme of the conference was India and the Indian diaspora, linkages and expectations. This is something which is the main gist of India's connectivity needed to be established, which was not established till then. Diaspora was not recognized officially by the government of India till 2003, I must say, until the recommendation of the high-level committee was implemented. So, till then, they have been going on as overseas Indians, and the term diaspora became popular later 1990s, and by 2000, it also became an important word, though not many people knew. When I started the Center for Diaspora Studies in Hyderabad in 1996, people started asking, what is diaspora? Is it any biological species or something? Nobody knew about it. And yes, we had to convince them what it is. And diaspora term came up as there was a transformation in science, technology, of communication and transport. People could communicate with each other, travel across the world quite frequently, and have linkages back home. Connecting back with the motherland is essentially the diasporic link that many countries were having, but it was recognized in India only after high-level committee's input was accepted. India accepted the diaspora as part of India, till then it was not the case. So, and then on, we have now 25 years of transformation which is taking place. We have seen that many of these Indians are connected back to India, and how do they connect back to India? One of the major ways in which they are connected back is through our places of origin. And I have been harping often, we say Indian diaspora, India. India is an overall macro ideology, concept. When we interact with each other, we interact at a micro level. We interact, I come from Andhra Pradesh, and you find Telugus from all over the world feel they should come to Hyderabad, connect with the people there, and it is their home. just as Punjabis will feel more at home when they visit Punjab. Right? And same in Gujarat, any part of the country. So the main connect diaspora and India starts with the places of origin, and we need to see how to connect people with their places of origin. Those who are migrated after India's independence, you don't have to give them any help because they know where they have left. They have retained their language, they're very vibrant, they can kill are connected with that. They keep visiting back home because whereas people of Indian origin diaspora, those who have gone much earlier, they have no particular place located until somebody researches and finds out, tracing the route, where they are from. And unless this is a proper way, they are supported and helped, it may not be possible. Other than you have an overall idea of Bhojpuri region, people have migrated from Bhojpuri region, people have migrated from Telugu speaking region, Tamil speaking region, then Malayalam speaking region, because these are the people who have migrated under the colonial times, and they are still wanting to connected with home, but it would need really a kind of a connectivity established, and we need to support that. And my view for what we do in future is actually specifically with the people of Indian origin diaspora, there's a need to cultivate, and there has to be some institutional level in which each state of the country has to generate the linkage, because they ultimately that's the state which will connect with the diaspora much more efficiently. And if anybody is willing to invest on, I'm sure will invest on development of their own village, place of origin. There are a number of such schemes in Punjab, in Gujarat, etc. The village, ancestral village development is one of the schemes in Punjab. It has been very successful. So I think what we need to do in future is connect the PI with diaspora formed on account of the migration under the indenture labor system, which I don't want to go beyond, because when we think of indenture labor, as Vimanji was mentioning, Viman Prasad was mentioning, the chief speaker, keynote speaker of the inaugural session was mentioning how his great parents left India and wanted to fail, and ultimately some of them have managed to feel their villages proud because they have succeeded. I think with this, I have Mr. Cross more than 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. We had, I will try to sum up at the end. So, thank you, Professor. And since we have to also manage time for some of our speakers who have joined us online, so I would like to request Professor Moritz S. Hassan Khan, if he is online, and if he could, who is a senior lecturer and faculty member in Anthropology University in Suriname. Are you online? Yes, I can see you. And over to you, Professor Hassan Khan.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there someone who can share my PowerPoint presentation? I have requested for that. Namaste. How are you?
Hello. I think there is some technical problem in sharing the PowerPoint here. Is it possible to share the screen from there?
Is it not possible to share from there?
Yeah, it is not possible from here. So if Professor, if you can share it from there, the screen. Acha, Dr. Ashutosh, are you able to help?
I'm thinking, I'm trying to share from myself, from my text of his presentation. Let me check. Yes. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying.
Okay, please 1 minute. It is easier to present when people can see the text. Okay, while Ashutosh Kumarji is working on sharing the screen, may I thank the organizers who gave me the opportunity to talk about the Indented Labor Route project. That is an international project initiated by the government of Mauritius, and it has been accepted and approved by the UNESCO in 2014. But the history of this project is go further back 2011, and even in 1998 when we in Suriname made, I think, one of the first databases of indented laborers, and then we have promoted the creation of an international database. So the Indented Labor Route project that tries to make also a database of all indented laborers based on national databases. But let me say first what is the objective of the Indented Labor Route project. There are two aspects in the objectives. One is the scientific aspect. That means that we try to create a network of scholars and experts in the field of indented labor and indented labor migration, so that we can collaborate. Yeah, thank you very much, Ashutosh.
Yeah, can you
Okay, go
see the slides?
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. Okay, go to slide 2. Slide 2, yeah, the main objective. We are creating a research network, and that we hope to promote and strengthen scientific research in the field of indented labor. And this is very important because in most of the countries, indented labor studies let's say indented labor is a under-researched topic in most of the countries. And until recently also in India, according to my observations. But I'm glad that nowadays we see that there is very much interest in indented labor studies in India. And I think that is also the fruit of the establishment of the Diaspora Center in Hyderabad first, that stimulated other institutes, other universities to start with diaspora studies. But in my view, previously most of the attention went to what we call the new diaspora and not to the older diaspora. And I'm very glad that gradually there has been more interest because of the indented labor scholars in the different countries. They took the initiative to make studies on indented labor and to organize international conferences. And Professor Bharat knows, I met him the first time in 1995 in Trinidad during the conference Challenge and Change, and I was very inspired with what he has done. And my own journey in this was that I wanted to promote indented labor studies and the indented labor diaspora. So in other countries, people were also working on it, and in 2011 there was a very large conference about this topic, and where we take this decision to promote the indented labor studies and to make also an international database about which we will talk later. The second objective is that is genealogical aspect, searching for roots, connecting people in the diaspora with their relatives in India. But for that, we have to create a database to make it easy for the people how to find their villages, their relatives, because it is a very huge frustration for them. When they go to India, they think that they go somewhere and they will find the village, but that is a very, very difficult question about which we will talk later. People would like to know what is the administrative structure of the indentured labor good project. About that, I think Ashutosh will talk more because he has the same topic also. So I will ask Ashutosh to talk about the structure of the indentured labor good project. Important is to know that that is an initiative of the Mauritian government. They had the support of the Indian government, and in October 2014, the UNESCO has approved the indentured labor goods project. But the problem was, and then I come to the challenges, the problem was from the beginning that UNESCO said we will support this project, but we don't have money. The initiators have to look for funding of the project. And it took 3 years before we were able to have an international scientific committee that is the main body of this project, and in which the intention was and is to inform all countries where we have indentured labor and their descendants, to inform all of them. And the idea was that for each country, focal point should be appointed, and in each country a national committee for the indentured labor group where they will organize activities regarding indentured labor and their history about them. So that was a very big challenge. The problem is, the main problem for us in 2017 when we started formally the project is finance. The secretariat is in Mauritius. Mauritius takes care for the secretariat, but Mauritius is also a small country. They don't have the money to give funding for projects initiated in the different countries. And that's why one of the main priorities of this program, I call it a program, the name is project of the program, that is create an international database. Several countries have their own database. Fiji has a database from which the material is online in Freya, the University of Australia. Now they are scanning their immigration passes, and they are active to participate in this project. Then South Africa is, I think, the first country who has an own database of all indentured laborers. And then we have Suriname, who made a database in 1998, and it is, all of them are available on internet. But the largest countries in the Caribbean, and let's say the first one, the first indentured labor country, that is Mauritius, with the largest number of indentured laborers, they didn't have a database. Recently they have started, and we do hope that with the creation of the database of Mauritius, we will make a very huge step forward. Problem is that in the Caribbean, the countries with the largest amount of indentured laborers, Guyana, Trinidad, they don't have a database yet. So we have to think about it, how to get these countries informed. One of the challenges, problem is that the descendants of the indentured laborers are in almost all countries except except in Mauritius, they are a numerical minority. Yeah, I repeat, they are a numerical minority, and in most cases they don't have the political power and the access to resources. Because for research you need money, you need funding. And within the indented neighborhood, we have tried also to enforce the Indian government. Formally, India is participating in the project, but I am very, very sorry to say that the participation of India is not what it should be. And that is my main message and main reason why I am participating in this conference today. Because I want to make the Indian government more aware about the need to participate in projects on intensive labor services. Then we have, I talked already about challenges, let's say. Other thing is the opportunities. I call the title of my presentation is Challenges and Opportunities. About the participation of countries, in my perception, the former colonial powers have to participate also. From the Netherlands, we have positive signs. They want to be now formally part of the indented neighborhood program. One of the staff members of the Netherlands archives from the Netherlands have asked me to enforce also the Netherlands in it. We need the support of the French government and last but not least the United Kingdom, because the England or United Kingdom had the most of the colonies where the Indian indented laborers went to. So we hope that in the coming years that we can get involvement of France and Great Britain. About the Dutch, I'm not concerned, as they have themselves asked to participate in it, and that will create more opportunities in the field of funding, I think. For your information, the Dutch government has asked apologies for their colonial past about slavery, and now they are recognizing that not only slavery but also intensive labor. They have to apologize for that. So the climate is positive about that. And then I want to talk about the opportunity. Yeah, 2 minutes more. I have been very, very inspired since January, since I heard Prime Minister Modi's speech during the last Pravasi Bharat Divas. You know, he talked about Vice-Chancellor. I have included, Ashutosh, can you click on the Modi on Vice-Chancellor 2025 in slide 8. That is the video clip of 1 minute and 45 seconds, but I made a summary of it. One is that he said that we have to study about the people who left their countries, what are the places from where they left in India, the places of origin, and the second is the places of destination, where they come from and where they went to. And further, Prime Minister Modi said, we have to study their life experiences. How did they change challenges in opportunities? That is very important, because everybody who studies indented labor migration in the different countries, they are proud that the people came as very poor people, as laborers who are exploited, but by hard working, they had a lot of successes in the different countries. Prime Minister Modi had recommended to making documentaries, studies on gimmick and gimmickiyas, and very important to organize regular World Gimmickya conferences. That is something we have organized in the different countries of destination, in which Trinidad by the late Professor Brinsley Samari was one of the main scholars who have organized a lot of international conferences on Indian diaspora, in which Gimmickya studies was central. In Suriname, we have organized also 3 or 4 conferences. Mauritius is organizing regularly, and I think this is very important. But I think that India can play in this a very central and important role, because all the people in the Gimmickya countries have their connections with India, and it is easier to reach India, it is cheaper to get in India than to very far countries as Suriname or Fiji or Mauritius and so on. So I think India has to take the lead in this, but I have one important advice. When you want to organize these World Gimmickya conferences, please inform the scholars and the universities or research institutes of the Gimmickya countries. With Gimmickya countries, I mean the countries where Gimmikyas went to work there and where their descendants are living. So in collaboration with them, then we will get the best research, and we can get also studies based on both perceptions, from the sending country and also from the receiving country. Because although we have our connections with India, but we in the destination countries, we are citizens of those countries. Yeah, we have the emotional connection. We are going to the villages to look for our relatives and so on, create bonds with them, but still we have different identities now, the Gimmickya identity. And we are at the same time a person of Indian origin. So that's very important to have people from both sides in the organization. And last but not least, Prime Minister Modi has suggested to establish chairs in gimmick studies or indented labor studies. That is very important, and I suggested, and within the indented labor root project, we have talked about setting up a chair for indented labor studies and internet chair in which the different countries can collaborate. But India is in the best position to take the lead in this, in collaboration with different countries. And what I want to suggest that if in India, for instance, at IGNU, at Jawaharlal Nehru University, at Banaras Hindu University, etc., we can offer indented labor studies programs on graduate level. But and that also I think it is important to involve scholars from the different countries. And last but not least, let us use also the opportunity given by IGNU, Indira Gandhi Open University, where they give online studies very cheap, and we have to explore this possibility in collaboration with IGNU in different countries, also master studies on indented labor and Indian diaspora can be done. There is already a program at IGNU in this method, but indented labor is not included in that. I have made contact with them, they are willing to do it, and I think with the speech of Prime Minister Modi, I hope that now a new period will come in which that we will have a collaboration between Indian and the scholars overseas. And one thing you mentioned in the first sentence of the speech that about the villages, and in the database project, what we are executing now, one of the aspects is what I call the mapping of the ancestral villages. That are the villages from the 19th and beginning of the 20th century. Where are those villages? Because many people are going in search of the villages and they cannot find them. And that is a challenge. For that we need also collaboration between Indian scholars and scholars from the Diaspora countries. So that is my presentation, and hope that this will give the inspiration for scholars in India and for institutes to set up joint programs in this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I say dhanyavad and shukriya.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry I cannot stay long. I was supposed to start 1 hour earlier, and I have today 5 meetings. So after about 15 minutes I have to leave, and that is not because I don't have respect for you all. I regret that I have to leave. I would like to participate until the end and participate in the discussion, but I'm very sorry. I regretted that I have to leave after 15 minutes.
No,
Thank you very much.
That is fine. Thank you very much. And thank you, Professor. And now I have 15 minutes and I have 7 speakers. So may I request that if we say about 5-6 minutes each, and then as I said earlier that there may be speakers may have actually more to speak, and they are welcome to send their presentations to us, and we would be happy to include them in our journal for wider circulation. May I request now Dr. Ashutosh Kumar for his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I take not more than 4 or 5 minutes because Maurice has already said everything. And so I would like to thank Gopal Arora-ji, ARSP, and the conference organizers for inviting me to speak at this conference, and I feel so honored. So again, I would like to speak a little bit more in few minutes on our project, which is called Indenture Labour Rules Project. So he didn't mention a lot that project was actually led by Maurice Khan, and this was his idea actually. So in December 2011, Apawasi Ghat Trust Fund and University of Mauritius organized an international conference in Mauritius on indenture Indian diaspora. At the end of the conference, Maurice came up with the idea to set up or launch a project that was very much similar to the slave route project, slave labor route project. And he initiated this idea, and all the scholars who were participating in that conference, they agreed to Maurice. And then the scholars who were participated in that conference, they prepared a document which was presented first to the Mauritian government and simultaneously to UNESCO in 2014, as Maurice has already mentioned. And UNESCO in its 195th Executive Committee meeting accepted this, endorsed it, and from that point we have started working on this project. Now, what is it and what kind of the work we do under this indenture labour route project? So the broad aim of the indenture labour route project is to bring all the countries having experienced the migration of indenture as well as the other form of the contract labour like Rashtriya and Kamini. However, we don't have lots of the documents or the material like the indenture for the indenture we have. So we are not able to trace a lot on the Kamini and Rashtriya, but definitely since the indenture was very much regulated, and then those who were participating in that system, they had their passes. So through that material we are trying to navigate through this project. So in the first meeting that happened in 2017, and so under that meeting we decided to create an international level indenture level database, which Maurice already mentioned, and this was again proposed by Maurice to create a database, and that database is through that database one can navigate or begin the research on the indenture. Honorable Minister Avinash Tilak was the Minister of the Arts and Culture Heritage of the Republic of Mauritius. He launched that project that was known as International Indenture Level Database Project in a meeting during the first inter-ministerial meeting that happened in 2021. And from that time to until now, we are working on this project, and under this project we have came up with the data which is related to the indenture level. So for instance, we are collaborating with each of the archives of the colonies as well as the National Archives of India to accumulate the data on the indenture level, so that at one place these data can be accessible or available for the researchers and the scholars who are interested in researching on that. Apart from that, as Maurice also mentioned, that another very important purpose of this indenture level database project was to do the genealogical research. For that, what we have been doing, and we are, definitely in the future we will do, that we are scanning the passes of the indenture laborers, trying to make it in the document version after, after the scan. So until now we have been successfully, the launch the passes of Fiji, the passes of Suriname, the passes of Natal. Now Mauritian government is also, doing, as Maurice has already mentioned, that the Mauritian government is also doing the scanning thing and digitizing everything, and hopefully soon they will share. The share it on online. So until now, I mean, if you look to the current status in Nature Level Project, is that we have already, got lots of data from Guyana, Fiji, Suriname, and trying to get, from Mauritius, Natal, and with the help of one of the person from New York, and he is also the descendant of the indentured laborer Krishna Gubli. We are launching a website where one can search his family or the root. So that website is known as www.theiii.in. So if anybody is interested, they can go to that website and they can, check the inventories of the indentured laborers. There are lots of the sections through which one can search their ancestors. They can search indenture information. So now our, since as Maurice has also mentioned that we are facing lots of problems with the funding. I hope, as Maurice has already mentioned, that the government of India, especially Prime Minister Modi, has taken initiative and spoke on the indenture. He said that the indenture labor and its descendants should be documented. So, understanding his view and the idea of the indenture diaspora, indenture laborers, what we are trying to do is that also creating a mapping through which one can trace the villages of villages. For instance, we are making an online Google platform through which while you will search to your search in this www.theiii.in website, there you can also find out the place of the origin as well as the destination. That would be directly linked with the Google link. So these are the things which we are currently working, and I think I should stop here and I'll take the questions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ashutosh. And may I now request His Excellency Professor Anil Sukral, High Commissioner of the Republic of South Africa, to share his thoughts.
Thank you, Chair. All protocols observed. I know that the audience is thinning out and attention span is also thinning out at the moment. So I'll take less than 5 minutes. Let me congratulate you first of all in putting this conference together and choosing a very apt theme, focusing on interdisciplinary perspectives of the Indian diaspora and the way forward. Now, I'm an academic with a PhD in history, so I'm a historian in the first instance. Now, why do we have this discipline called history, and what is history about? And given that you have termed this a technical session based on historical perspectives, let me speak to that first and foremost. History is not just a study of the past, but it's a study of the past to influence and shape the future. And I think that's why we are gathered here today, to look at the past of the history of the Indian diaspora. And I must say that it's important for us to understand that the Indian diaspora is not a homogeneous whole. We are by and large seem to be speaking of the old diaspora, from what I've been hearing thus far, but there is also a new diaspora. And each needs its own space, and they both are complementarity. And I think as we move forward, it's important that we recognize that these are two complementary streams that combine to form this powerful force called the Indian diaspora today. I think this is the 5th or 6th conference that I'm attending in the 5 months that I've arrived in India, focusing on the Indian diaspora. And I think that's a welcome development. In the past, you would not hear of this term Indian diaspora, be it at a government level or be it at an international level. And I think there are various reasons for this, and that should be part of the study of our history of why this was the case and why it's come to the fore. You know, the rise of India is like a rising tide of the ocean, where it takes both small and big ships together. But it's a tide of good, it's not a destructive tide. And as that tide of India rises, we see the diaspora tide also rising. No matter which part of the world you are, whether you are a small ship in a small country or a big ship in a large country that contains the Indian diaspora, I believe these are complementary parallel movements for global good in terms of, not only in terms of India's benefit, but also for the benefit of the global diaspora. Now, I think it's also important for us to recall that when the British replaced slavery with indentured labor, they did so under one selfish motive, to have cheap labor so that they could keep the empire prosperous and continue to grow at the expense of what became the Girmatiya community. But what they unwittingly did, when we speak of the diaspora today, we are speaking of cheap labor that went out. But what went out with that diaspora community was a rich culture, a rich language, a rich mode of dressing, a rich cuisine, rich economists, political analysts, sporting personalities. It was a whole package. It was a whole package, not just cheap labor that went out. Because when this diaspora started flourishing, the seeds scattered by the British Empire unwittingly in almost 19 countries between 1835 and 1917, when almost 2 million Indians were shipped out to 19 colonies. These seeds flourished into blooming flowers that have become prime ministers, presidents, ministers, leaders of multinational scientists, academics, you name it. They are spread throughout the world today. And that's the history of the diaspora we need to study, both the old and the new, and how it's impacting on India and how it's impacting on our lives as part of the diaspora. And I think that's where we need to give attention. I'm not going to speak of the way forward. I have some ideas of how we should move forward, but I think the fact that Prime Minister Modi at the PVD this year gave us a template, especially focused on the Girmatiyas for the first time. I think we have a good blueprint on how to move forward. And I don't think it was an exhaustive blueprint that Prime Minister Modi spoke of. He gave us an idea of what we should be doing. At the same time, as I've said, this diaspora is one of the most powerful diasporas globally today, the Indian diaspora. How do we harness this for the positive good of India, for the positive good of our countries where we are present as the Indian diaspora, and for global good? Because I believe this Indian diaspora is part of the movement focused on creating a better world, a more inclusive world, and ensuring that as we move together, we leave no one behind, but we are inclusive. And I'd like us to focus on that. Having these conferences are important. They are important stimulus, but they are not end in themselves. They must be the start of a process that involves all entities. We can't depend just on the Indian government to take this forward. It can't be just a government-driven process. It has to be an inclusive process that incorporates all sectors of society and incorporate the diaspora as a whole, irrespective if it's a small percentage of the diaspora or it's a major percentage of the diaspora. We have to see each and every one of us as interlinked, as being equally important parts of this chain, together, not just with the Indian government, but all entities of Indian society, of which we are a mirror in the diaspora, working together. I think I've exhausted my 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, High Commissioner. Okay, I understand Dr. Vishnu Visram is online, and may I request Mr. Vishnu Visram, journalist and political activist from Guyana, to share his thoughts, maybe 5-7 minutes, if he can stick to it if possible. Thank you.
Are you hearing me now? Okay, so the issue I wanted to speak on has been addressed briefly by two preceding speakers, Professor Maurice Hassan Khan, as well as Professor Ashutosh. The challenges and difficulties of tracing roots in India, it was the subject I wanted to speak on, and Professor Hassan Khan made reference to it about finding the villages in India. Now, before we get to India itself, the challenge in each of the Girmita countries varies, but in Guyana, where I am from, the significant problem is gaining access to the documents, the ship documents, it's called immigration pass, on which are listed the contacts or connections with Mother India, the villages, the district, the Thana, and so forth. Having gotten that and getting to India, finding the village is a problem because you may have several villages of the same name. And when one gets to the village, there will be a lot of difficulties in finding the family. And even when one finds a family, very often the family denies any kind of connection with anyone from overseas. In my personal encounters, one of the issues was when I found family members, they would come to me very quietly, "Sir, please don't get us into any trouble. Please don't take away our land." So there's distrust among people within the villages all over India that we from the Girmit countries are coming to access land. And when we have no such intention whatsoever, certainly not me or the people I know. So having convinced them that it may be an easier relationship. Now, in my going back and forth to India over the last 15 years, I was able to convince several of my ancestral relatives in Bihar, Rajasthan, and UP that I have no intention to acquire their land. And in fact, I've been very, very kind and generous to them. Now, still, that may leave doubt in their minds. So The major challenge in tracing roots is finding the documents. The documents in Guyana are pretty much crumbling. An effort is being made to digitize whatever is left. I believe the government of India is providing some assistance. So the way forward is for India to provide possible to digitize the documents in Guyana. I know in other places there have been significant progress in digitizing documents. And within India itself, it is very, very important government provide some kind of easier access to get to the villages in India. Some of them are very, very far outlying areas in Bihar as well as in UP. In the past, I know the UP as well as the government of India had a program in order to assist trace routes, and I suppose not many advantage of it, and so the programs ended. But maybe as more and more people in the West are seeking their ancestral relatives in India, it may be easier, or I should say, the government should reconsider this tracing roots program. In conclusion, let me acknowledge the presence of those esteemed gentlemen and lady who I am familiar with, from and Professor from Hyderabad, as well as His Excellency, the Ambassador, High Commissioner from South Africa, and my colleagues overseas as well, and Professor Gopal Arora. Thank you very much for this opportunity to allow me to speak very, very briefly. And so I return back to you in order to save time.
Thank you very much. I think you have added some more perspective on the issue of the nature of the human root. May I now request Dr. Sarita Budhu, and she is well known in India for Geet Kawai. So over to you, Dr. Sarita Budhu.
नमस्ते, नमस्कार और सभी लोगों के बड़े प्यार और जैसे बोली जाता भोजपुरी में हमने के आप सबको समय नहीं है. Since we have the time, I would just like to say how grateful I am to the University of Calcutta, to the especially ARSP team, the whole team, for having given me this chance to come here to my alma mater, the University of Calcutta, and to participate in a Diaspora conference, especially after the very rich, the unforgettable, extraordinary visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Mauritius, where he has spoken about Geet Kawai, about Diaspora, about the database, about everything which he mentioned also in Bhubaneswar, but which we think has given, he has given his whole weight and stamp on the Indian government and himself to the whole Diaspora countries. First of all, here I must say we are in Bengal and we have been only having talks and lectures, so since I don't think it will be able for me to present my paper today, let me just give you some nuggets. I learned about Kolkata long back in my student days. We have a bookshop called Nalanda Bookshop in Portvis, and there we have a lot of Tagore books and so on. And I was exposed, and then in 1960, when the centenary celebration of Rabindranath Tagore was being celebrated, we had a one-year celebration, and I came across this song. I will sing only 2 lines. तुम्ही के मन को रे गाओ मेरे साथ, अपनी यहाँ के सभी बच्चे लोग बंगाल में हैं. तुम्ही के मन को रे गाओ, तुम्ही के मन को रे गाओ. শুনি তুমি কেমন করে গান করো হে গুণী। This is the Bengali song I learned in Mauritius for this program because I was participating as a teenager, and since then I have been focused on Calcutta. Now the second song is Calcutta se chutal jahaz pawariya dheere chalo. Calcutta se chutal jahaz pawariya dheere chalo. Ume agar batada hamar, ume agar batadi hamar pawariya dheere chalo. So this is the beginning, Calcutta for me, and being the core, as we said, somebody mentioned of the British Empire, British Raj. We were known by people from the Bhojpuri belt when we landed in Mauritius as Calcutta. And the Boli that we were speaking, it was Calcutta. Calcutta Bolat Bani. So it is much later that the term Bhojpuri was given. And let me, for your information, tell you, Mauritius was the first post to which the indentured labor Gilmita came, 2nd November 1834. And after Biman Prasadji mentioned Prime Minister, Vice Prime Minister, that we have proposed this International Gilmita Day. I think the 2nd November will be a very appropriate day, which is already a public holiday in Mauritius. I am proposing here 2nd November as International Gilmita Day for us all, the diaspora. Can you support? Yes, this is one. Now second is the visit of Prime Minister Modi in Mauritius has been researched bilateral agreements and support to Mauritius itself, our Indian Ocean geopolitics. It has been of immense help to all of us, the Gilmitians. What we were a people without almost a voice. All so many years of conference of diaspora, starting with Professor Chandra Bhanji. And all in Trinidad and Suriname, they have volumes of lectures, of conferences, University of West Indies, in Fiji, in South Africa, in Mauritius, but still we were not able to bring this up to get a audibility, to get a visibility, to get a power, political power. And Modi ji has given this political power through our Gilmitia language, Gilmitia Bhasha, Gilmitia culture, Gilmitia heritage, cuisine, food. He mentioned dal puri, he mentioned about so many things. Gato Pima, he spoke in Bhojpuri, and he even quoted a song from the Git Gawai, which I will mention to you, which refers to Mother Earth. And this Git Gawai, tomorrow I will speak about it. It goes back to the Rig Veda. It comes in the folklore, but its origin is in the Indrani Karma in Rig Veda, where people have said that, where it is said that 4 women, married women, sing a song for the occasion of their marriage, and they play that time they have the lyre and so on, and they dance also. So this is the origin of Git Gawai, and this song, Modi ji quoted that it is making a veneration to Mother Earth, which is true. And all this were hidden. It was hidden culture, always put under the carpet. But now Modi ji has given voice to it, and we are very proud. And I think our task will be very much more easy now. And this song is This Modi ji quoted in his speech, which is official. तार बंधी धरती ऊपर आसमान के मैं घूमी फिरी बांधिला देवायस थान के मैं घूमी फिरी बांधिला देवायस थान के मैं गोड़ तोहर लागिला धरती हो मैया गोड़ तोहर लागिला धरती So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarita. And that was something that was very interesting for all of us. And may I now request Professor Naresh Kumar, Chairperson and Professor Center for Diaspora Study at the Central University of Gujarat. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I would like to thank Professor for inviting me and the ARSP for organizing this first time this interdisciplinary perspective for Indian diaspora. I think that is in case of India first conference. We have organized workshop of interdisciplinary perspective for Indian diaspora. That is not an international conference, but a workshop only. So that is much more needed in the case of contemporary issues like energy and prospect of the context of Indian diaspora. So as lots of speakers in today's morning session already talked about these various prospects and aspects of the Given Care contest, but my presentation based on the sources of international migration in diaspora, data in case of India, nature, scope and challenges, and way forward. So I'm not particularly stick to the Given Care contest in general of all the perspectives of the whatever sources of data we have in case of Indian diaspora. So we have already spent almost 15 years in case of diaspora research in the Central University of Gujarat Center for Diaspora Studies. So we have found lots of scope and significant of diaspora actually contributing lot in the various areas and place of origin and destination countries. So first of all, actually there is lots of transformation has been occurred in the 21st century in the era of globalization and ICT, information communication technology and data transportation system. So mobility is not particularly stick to the particular geographical location. So now in the almost all the countries they have very much connectivity with each other in terms of various changes in nature of the idea, knowledge, information and communication and even the networking concept or interconnectedness between the host and origin countries. So this, because of this great impact on the transformation society and within the context of migration, that is become very much needing or understand the how we understand the diaspora or migration in the international context. So already in 2006, high-level dialogue on this international migration diaspora in the United Nations General Assembly actually emphasized that the important role played by the diaspora or international migration, which is supported of the right set of the strategies and policies that this led to the increase in the international effort related to the migration and its measurement. In September 2015, the UN General Assembly adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And first time of this migration was recognized as an integral part of the global sustainable development. And that much talked about this facilitate orderly, safe and regular and responsible migration and mobility of people, including through the implementation of the policies and well-managed migration plan. So that is why reliable sources of data become very much important to understand the overall perspective of the diaspora or migration issues, whether they are internal migration or international migration, or how they are actually different over a period of time. The prospect can be measured or be understood. Like for example, third and fourth generation of the Indian diaspora community, even up to the sixth or seventh generation by Indian diaspora community. So we have a lot of scope and limitation in this perspective of data. So data becomes very much important to understand the actually overall framework of the importance of the diaspora communities or international migrant communities across the globe. So on the basis of data, actually we determine the actually method and methodologies over the perspective how actually different characteristics or available sources of indicators which actually emphasize more to understand the dynamic nature or cross-sectional studies or impact of the societies
whether it is residing in the host country or whether they are residing currently with the place of origin. So that is why it becomes more much important. And the migrant or diaspora community is not particularly belong to the one set of actually social group. They are the diverse group in terms of language, culture, or origin. For example, in case of India, we have a Bengali diaspora, we have Odia diaspora, we have a Gujarati diaspora. So I am currently working on the ICCR major project, International Migration and Development or Diaspora Contest. So we are actually finding some of the actually very good indicators in terms of development, but we are looking at very limited data in terms of actually economic remittances. So that can be actually not ignored in the academic discourse. So current, so that is very much important. And in case actually, what are the various sources of data we have in case of India? So generally, we have a limited time. So just I let you know about this, the important source of data. First, we have a census of India, but the census of India data is by the Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. That data is very much limited in case of actually international migrant. We have a very limited set of information, and hardly we have the data in case of diaspora. Diaspora or the Indian actually over the period of they are residing in the different countries. So somehow we are depending on the sources of destination like US Census Bureau or other census data in case of like Mauritius or other census of data. So that kind of limitation actually need to be adequately addressed in the data discourse. And like another set of sources of data we have like a national sample survey. So 64th round actually occurred in 2008, but that data also has actually very much limited set of information in case of international migration data or diaspora data. So that is also very much important actually we have actually stored data. We don't have flow data. We require regular data to understand the overall framework or overall perspective of the Indian diaspora or Indian international migrant communities. What are they are connected, they are contributing loads in different socio-economic or political point of view. So that much more will be important. And now in our keynote speaker, Professor Bharat, talked about this, how the actually high-level community formed in 2002 and how this actually to trace out the Indian roots and Indian diaspora community almost over the world. And that is a very significant role, high-level committee, LNC committee report, to understand the actually to identify the different Indian communities across the globe. So that is very much important. And within that context, even the ministry has formed, and also the ministry of, now in the Ministry of External Affairs, looking all the issues and challenges of the Indian diaspora community abroad. So, but that data play very much important role. But that is also somehow they have a stock data. Actually, we don't have a flow data. We have a data in form of like TCR data, immigration check required, immigration check not required. But that characteristic are also very much limited. So we require lots of indicators, lots of variables to understand the various aspects of the contribution of the Indian diaspora. And so migration survey is one of the important aspects actually to collecting the information of the Indian diaspora like in NRI or PIU. So, but the limitation often is one of the important variables. Various research organizations actually look in the immigrant point of view, various study, whether it is a economic or social or cultural, or so that is significant. That survey is very much relevant and significant to understand the local phenomena or regional phenomena, or also the dynamic of the diaspora or international migration context. But the funding is very much limited. So that is why we required more funding actually to understand the greater aspect, to understand the diasporic community or population contribution. So for this, we actually need to understand the cross-sectional studies or longitudinal studies, how this actually dynamic occur over a period of time. And there are other sources of data already we have been much more depending in case of media or immigrant population or all diaspora. So we have various archival sources of data. Like we have a personal documents, we have a colonial reports, newspaper, oral histories, and digital archive. So we actually give some account of the lives of the Indian communities, those who went at the indentured level in the different countries, and their experience and contribution of the Indian origin living abroad. So recently, National Archive of India given one of the important account to understand the actually digitize of the data in case of Oman country. So our Prime Minister, Hon'ble Prime Minister Narendra Modi already account and emphasize his contribution made by the National Archive of India because there is lots of Gujarati diaspora in case of Oman. That data has been digitized by the National Archive of India. So within that context, so I would like to actually conclude here. So accurate and comparable data of international migration are especially limited. And to collecting migration data, few countries can follow the United Nations recommendation in defining the place of usual residence to identify the migrant or diaspora communities. And national legislation and national definition determine the basis of collection of the statistics, which is the main reason of the incomparability of the data of different countries. And recently, almost 41 years, we have a history pending the immigration bill. So government of India taking lots of initiative to pass the bill, this immigration bill 2020. So recently, I get the opportunity to participate in the standing committee. So various welfare program is already going on by the Ministry of External Affairs to see the assessment of impact and to see actually what kind of challenges and issues and prospect we need to be identified within that context. That is also much more needed. So, and that is why the set of data is very much important. So, we cannot only stick to the actually archival sources of data. That is very much relevant and important. We also need to be addressed of the labor migration data. For example, in case of the GCC country, we have near about 9 million of Indian diaspora community at the ARSP age. So overall general framework or holistic approach is much more needed to understand the diaspora prospects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. May I now request Hon'ble
आदरणीय नारायण कुमार सर, गोपाल अरोड़ा सर और जितने हमारे गुरुजन भट्ट सर, गुरु जिनसे डायस्पोरा का मतलब समझा, और सब लोग अंग्रेजी में बोले। मैं हिंदी विश्वविद्यालय का हूँ, कि वहाँ का खाता हूँ, पढ़ा वहाँ का हूँ, तो मैं हिंदी में बात सुनाता हूँ। क्योंकि कहते हैं अपनी भाव, कहते हैं माँ की जो भाषा होती है, कहते हैं माँ, मेरी माँ को गिनती नहीं आती है यारों। मैं किसी का लेके बोल रहा हूँ, मेरी माँ की जो भाषा है, गिनती नहीं आती है मेरी माँ को यारों। जब मैं मांगता हूँ एक तो वो चार देती है, मैं रोटी एक मांगता हूँ तो वो चार देती है। मेरी माँ को गिनती नहीं आती। तो माँ की भाषा में एक गीत सुनाता हूँ। बहुत सुबह से बोझिल सबका चेहरा उतरा है। मैं एक गीत सुनाता हूँ, मैडम ने सुनाया, मैं थोड़ा लय में सुनाता हूँ। रेलिया बैरी, आप लोग भी गाएंगे। रेलिया बैरी प्रिया के लेके जाए रे, रेलिया बैरी, रेलिया बैरी। ताली को जाने से प्रेशर होता है। रेलिया बैरी प्रिया के लेके जाए रे, रेलिया बैरी। जौने टिकट टिकट जौनेटी कसबा से पिया मोरे जईहन, जौनेटी कसबा से पिया मोरे जईहन, पनिया बरसे टिकस गली जाए रे रेलिया बैरी, जौने सहरवा में पीरा पिया मोरे जईहन, अगिया लागे सहर जरी जाए रे रेलिया बैरी, जौने साहबवा के पिया मोरे नौकर, जौने साहबवा के पिया मोरे नौकर, गोलियां लागे साहब मरे जाए रे रेलिया बैरी। आप लोग सोच रहे होंगे ये गाना गाने आए कि कॉन्फ्रेंस में आए। यह गीत कमला सिंह का है और एक पूर्वांचल के श्रम लोकगीत है। हमने बड़े बड़े डॉक्यूमेंट्स की बात की, एम्पिरिकल सोर्स हमारे पास है, लेकिन सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स अपने को जस्टिफाई करने के लिए थे, औपनिवेशिक थे, अंग्रेजों के डॉक्यूमेंट्स थे, लेकिन उन डॉक्यूमेंट्स में माँ की भाषा, मेरी दादा की भाषा, आजी की भाषा और उनकी पूरी कहानी तोताराम समाप्त हो गए। उसमें मुंशी रहमान खान का जीवन प्रकाश जो उनकी आत्मकथा, वो हम उसको अकाउंट में नहीं लाए, उसका ट्रांसलेशन हमें उपलब्ध है, उसका ओरिजिनल फॉर्म हमें उपलब्ध है, ट्रांसलेशन उपलब्ध है। उसी तरह से अंग्रेजी में जहाजी एक उपन्यास है, पेग्गी मोहन दिल्ली में रहती हैं, उनकी दीदा पर्वतिया, और जहाजी पढ़ेंगे तो अंग्रेजी में उपन्यास है, और उन्होंने पूरा रोमन में अपनी दादी की वो भाषा को उसमें दी है, और वहां से पूरा भाषा की समझ आती है। और अगर उनका अपना ओरल नैरेटिव नहीं होता, अगर उनकी अपनी मौखिक व्याख्यान नहीं होता, उनके एक वीडियो आप यूट्यूब पे देख सकते हैं, मैंने यहाँ तो लिंक कभी नहीं दे पाऊंगा, उसमें एक द लास्ट कंट्रा की मैं बता दे रहा हूँ, उसमें वीडियो देखिए, और आप जो कहते हैं कि वो कहते थे हम कपल को ले जाते थे, तब वो कहती क्या है उस वीडियो में बताइए, क्या आप शादी हो गई थी क्या? अरे हमारा शादी भी हो गया था, हमको जहाज पे ठेल दिया, बोले ये तुम्हारा हस्बैंड है। अगर वो नहीं कहती तो सच्चाई कैसे पता चलता? मैंने इसी तरह से बहुत, हम जब इतिहास की बात करते हैं तो हम कहीं ना कहीं कंसंट्रेट हो जाते हैं गिरमिटिया पर। हिल कुली की चर्चा कहीं नहीं होती है। मैं झारखंड का भी हूँ, बिहार का भी हूँ, डिवाइडेड बिहार। वहां जब मैं रिसर्च करने लगा झारखंड में, तो देखा कि जब चाय का आविष्कार हुआ तो हिल कुली का आविष्कार हुआ। यानी 1834 में जब हम कहते हैं गिरमिटिया, उसके पहले झारखंड में सुबह में बहुत सुंदर बात हुई थी गजेटियर की। गजेटियर को मैंने कहा कि फ्लोरा एंड फौना है, बहुत टेक्निकल शब्द में बात कर रहा हूँ। फ्लोरा फौना का मतलब बहुत सुंदर किसी ने बताया कि उसको अगर पढ़ेंगे तो वो लगता है कि वैसा कोई नहीं कर रहा, के सर बोल रहे थे, आप अंग्रेजों को शासन करना था तो वहां के एक एक चीज को, कौन व्यक्ति क्रांतिकारी हो सकता है, कौन लड़ाई कर सकता है, कौन सा जानवर हो सकता है, वो पूरे एक्सप्लॉइट करने के लिए उन्होंने गजेटियर को तैयार किया था। लेकिन उस गजेटियर से हमारे लिए क्या रिसर्च का चीज निकल सकता है, वो ये है कि गजेटियर से पता चलता है कि कब बारिश हो रही थी, कब लोग खेती कर रहे थे, कब लोग माइग्रेट कर रहे थे, कब बाहर जा रहे थे। अंग्रेज मैं नहीं कहूं, बल्कि औपनिवेशिक जो राइटर्स हैं, इतिहास लिखते हैं, हिस्टोग्राफी में जब बात करेंगे तो जो जो इंपीरियलिज्म से प्रभावित है, औपनिवेशिक स्रोत वाले वो कहते हैं कि यहाँ पे बड़ी गरीबी थी, भूखमरी थी, यानी कि उस मजबूरी में चले गए, यहाँ से भूखमरी और ये सब के कारण से बचने के लिए वो दो ही पे अपने को अटका देते हैं। और एक है पुल फैक्टर, दूसरा कहते हैं कि नहीं, कुछ लोग अपने बेटर लाइफ के लिए चले गए, यहाँ पुल और पुस्तक में हमें फंसा दिया। लेकिन उनका क्या, जो पढ़े लिखे लोग नहीं थे और मजदूर बन के चले गए, फुसला के बहला के अरकटिया और बड़े बड़े कंगनी मैसरी जो एजेंट थे उनके माध्यम से चले, उनका क्या, उनका रिकॉर्ड का क्या? तो ये जो मौखिक हमारे आख्यान है, जैसे तोताराम सनाड का, आज सुबह में जोशी सर से बात हो रही थी, हमने कहा कि वह ना तो बायोग्राफी है और ना तो वह ऑटोबायोग्राफी है, बल्कि उन्होंने बोला है और पंडित पंडित चतुरदास ने, बनारसी दास ने उसे अकाउंट में लाया, तो मैंने कहा, उसका नाम दिया हिंदी में ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल नैरेटिव, आत्मकथात्मक वृतांत। मैंने कहा हिजी दिन में मेरे 21 वर्ष को, और उसको आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको कुंती और नारायणी जो महिला के साथ जिस तरह से त्रासदी होता है, मैं तो हो गया था एक बार पढ़ते पढ़ते। और शायद उसी के बाद से इंक्वायरी कमेटी बनती है एंड्रूज के नेतृत्व कांग्रेस के तरफ से। मैं समय का पूरा ध्यान रखूंगा, मैं गाना सुनाने आया था, बोलने नहीं आया था। बड़े बड़े विद्वानों को मैं क्या बोलूंगा, बच्चे होते तो मजा आता। मैं गाना सुनाने आया हूँ, मैं एक और गाना सुनाऊंगा, चल जाऊंगा। मैं देसी जो स्रोत हैं और हिंदी में, हमारी भाषा में, हमारी मातृभाषा में, हमारे दिल की भाषा में जो लिखी गई है, अगर हम मुकम्मल इतिहास चाहते हैं तो हम उनका भी यूज करें। और क्यों जरूरी है? वो इसलिए जरूरी है, मैडम ने बहुत अच्छा, हमारी विरासत, हमारे संघर्ष की विरासत, हमारे जीने की संघर्ष की, यानी कहते हैं कि गिरमिटिया से गवर्नमेंट बनने का जो सफर है, कहते हैं गुफा से चांद बनने तक का जो सफर है, तो गिरमिटिया से गवर्नमेंट तक का जो सफर है, उसमें, उस बैठका में, उस गीत में, उस गीत गवई में, उस भोजपुरी के सॉन्ग में, उस सरनामी के सॉन्ग में, उस मतलब कहें कि फिजी हिंदी के सॉन्ग में, डॉका पुराण पढ़िए, डॉका पुराण पढ़िए, 1000 पन्नों का उपन्यास है। जब पढ़ेंगे उसकी, तो मैं सैंपल भी लाया था, समय नहीं है, कभी मौका मिलेगा तो। वो डॉका पुराण तो मतलब अभी फिजी माँ उनकी है, 1000 माओं की माँ। आप उसको पढ़ लें तो आपको लगता है पहला गिरमिटिया जब 1879 में गया, वहां से लेकर अब तक का पूरा सफर उसमें है, बशर्ते आपको थोड़ी भाषा, हम कहते हैं भोजपुरी नहीं, मिक्स, उसमें अलग अलग भाषा है। तो ये हमें अपने इतिहास को कहने का मतलब सिर्फ इतना है, इतिहास को जब बात हो रही है तो उसके हिस्टोग्राफी पे बात हो, उसके रिसोर्सेज पे बात हो। महात्मा गांधी एक बड़ी अच्छी बात कहते थे, मैं उस गांव से आता हूँ, गांधी के शहर से आता हूँ, इसमें गांधी की चर्चा में मेरी पूरी होती नहीं है। कहते थे, साध्य और साधन जैसा रहेगा, साधन जैसा रहेगा, साध वैसा ही होगा। जब हम इतिहास की ईमानदार कोशिश करेंगे तो जो हमारे मौखिक स्रोत हैं, आख्यान हैं, गीत हैं, लोकगीत हैं, उनके बिना मुकम्मल इतिहास नहीं लिख सकते हैं। सिर्फ मेरा ये प्रपोजल है, एक बात ये। और दूसरी बात, अंत में क्यों यह जरूरी है, किस तरह से उन्हें बरगला की लगाया, जैसे त्रिडाट की गिरमिटिया, कहाँ लाए चीनी डाट कहते थे, उसी तरह से श्री राम को श्री राम कहते थे उस देश में। चलो ऐसे ऐसे कह करके बरगला करके लाए गए। और एक जगह पर एक तो छोटी सी, जैसे अब हम बात करते हैं इतिहास की, तो गदर कहाँ चला जाएगा? जब डायस्पोरा की हिस्ट्री की बात करेंगे तो गदर कहाँ? करतार सिंह सराबा को भी हमें लेना पड़ेगा, हमें हिंद कुली को भी लेना पड़ेगा। अगर आप बात करें केवल उस फुल फैक्टर से काम नहीं चलेगा। आपको अगर मुकम्मल इतिहास लिखना है, हमें लिखना है, तो उसके लिए आपको सोशियो कल्चरल, साइकोलॉजिकल एंड पॉलिटिकल, इकोनॉमिक सारे पर्सपेक्टिव को सामने में रख करके ही मुकम्मल इतिहास लिख सकते हैं। ये मेरा मतलब प्रस्ताव था। और अंतिम बात कह करके मैं अपनी बात खत्म करूंगा। कहते हैं इतिहास क्यों जरूरी है। ख्याल लावनी की एक कविता है, भारतवंशियों के मौखिक इतिहास के महत्व को बताता हुआ मैंने किया है। कहते हैं, नए कमरों में अब पुरानी चीज कौन रखता है, नए कमरों में अब पुरानी चीज कौन रखता है, परिंदों के लिए प्यालों में पानी कौन रखता है। एक हम हैं जो संभाले हैं विरासत को, वरना सलीके से बुजुर्गों की निशानी कौन रखता है। धन्यवाद। वरना सलीके से बुजुर्गों की निशानी कौन रखता है। धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद डॉक्टर मुलायम जी, एक बार और आपकी कविताओं के लिए। चेयरमैन का एक हिंदी में बोल one of the duties of a chairman, expected duties of a chairman, is also to summarize the discussions that have taken place in the session. Since we are already about 41 minutes, since we are already 41, so I would not go in terms of summarizing, because I think everybody has clearly understood what this speakers wanted to say. But which I would say the thoughts that emerged in the House in the discussion, I would just briefly mention. We had a power-packed panel of experts on the subject for this session. And at the very outset, my apologies for not being able to give enough time. Because they had come here to share their knowledge and thoughts with us, but somehow due to time constraints, we had some limitations on that. One of the thoughts that was here in the House was that there is, of course, an urgent need to do studies on the indentured laws, which have also been mentioned by the Prime Minister. The issue that we have here is that despite some interest from UNESCO, we still have challenges of finance, availability of records, and lack of support from some countries. The other thing that was the session was on historical perspectives. So there was some discussion on the history of diaspora, particularly the Kerala diaspora, and how we can collaborate, not only in terms of what the colonial powers or the data that they kept, but even in the trade records. Of course, it was mentioned that we don't really have any record of outward migration. It's very difficult to operate, but there are some other records from where we can access it, including in regional records, and actually can try it. But the main point is that this, of course, will satisfy our curiosity, because I'm personally aware of many people in some countries, both in the ministry and when I was posted outside, they came to India and they were unable to find their place of origin or their existence, despite their best efforts, despite the government also trying to help them. So while we do this study, we also have to look at what High Commissioner Professor Anthropology said, that we must look at the past, but we should also look at the way forward. What are we going to use this study of the past for? So I think that is an important point that we should keep in mind, how we make the past work for the future. Also, it was mentioned that there are only very few centers for diaspora studies, and perhaps more universities should have centers for diaspora studies. We also need to understand that just creating more centers for diaspora studies may actually reduce the demand to study diaspora. For a student, when he goes to the university, he wants to learn the subjects which would be helpful to him ultimately in finding a job. So that is the harsh reality. And so can we think of diaspora studies as a 3-credit or 6-credit subject as part of sociology or anthropology? Something in that direction perhaps we can think about it. Oral narrative is very important, something that many people have stressed, and we still have some people who went out as children, as pyramid children, and who are very old but still alive in some countries, and perhaps we can record their experience. So some of us have been made some experiences that have been recorded, but not in all countries and not at a major level. And in previous times, perhaps we did not have access to these first-hand oral records. Dr. Sarita had made a very important proposal. She suggested that we keep 2nd November as International Pyramid Day. And that is a very good proposal, which we, of course, ARSP conference proceedings promote this proposal. And also for consideration of the House is that because getting an International Day approved is a rather complicated process. It has to be all countries have to vote for it. Many countries may not have any diaspora and therefore do not have any interest. So, to begin with, can we have a Pyramid Day in India, which can be celebrated in India and in countries which may be interested in celebrating the Pyramid Day, and thereafter we perhaps these countries approach the UN briefly I submit, I hope I have covered all the points. And as I mentioned earlier, that some of the presentations are very interesting, and the ARSP has a journal, and if people would like to make contributions to the journal, they are most welcome. Thank you very much, and I think we should give a big round of applause for our faculty.
And also to the chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So with that, we will conclude the proceedings of the first day. Tomorrow, which role of language, role of culture in India's soft power. And one very interesting topic is the influence of Bollywood and films and music on the diaspora. Very interesting. There will be some audiovisual presentations also. It's going to be a very interesting day. And then the third technical session, the second session of tomorrow, will be on the economic perspectives on trade, commerce, industry, technology, engagement with the youth. After that, there will be open house session. Those who want to express convey their suggestions or opinions, they are most welcome to give, because of shortage of time, we could not have the interactive program. But then in that session, we'll have more interaction also, followed by the regulatory session. So for today, it's over, and the Indian delegates, they will stay back for general devices. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.